Hey guys, my name is War Priest. Welcome to the Destiny Truthcast, otherwise known as the DTC. The DTC is a community podcast by Destiny Community for Destiny Community on a non-monetary channel where we address community-related topics of discussion that we find related to the game, and we attempt to address that community discussion on community-related topics of and concerns on the forums and from other sources such as Reddit and reviews of the game and changes in the Destiny universe. I'll be your subject narrator for this podcast today, and joining us all today from the forums is Lost Souls on the down low. Hey Souls, how you doing?
Too bad. What's going on, War Priest?
Cool. Carnival Law. Hey Law, what's shaking?
Hey War Priest, doing well. How about you?
Hey, not bad. And Badger, Wounded Badger's here. How's it going, Badger?
Pretty good, War Priest. Thanks for having me.
Cool. It's good to have you here. And Jay Stevenson, my man. How's it hanging, bro?
Very good, man.
So, before we begin, just so people are aware, everybody here has pretty much got some gaming experience under their belt. Souls, I wanted to actually ask you a couple of questions before we get into everything. What was your inspiration to get this podcast thing going?
Well, I was approached by different guardians about doing YouTube, doing podcasts, and I spoke and thought this would be a great way to give the community a greater voice besides our posts on the forums, try to give another avenue to get what the community really wants to see in this game out there, get another avenue for people to be able to discuss and get in front of Bungie the things we would like to see in this game.
To kind of like give another voice to the community, which is always good in my opinion, because the community by itself on the forums, I know for a fact everybody's got their own opinions and they've got their own voice, but to actually get that voice through a channel that's for community, I think that's a great idea, especially when I heard it. But as far as gaming experience goes, dude, like where did your experience begin? Like, as a brief synopsis, how long have you been gaming?
First system was Intellivision 2.
Just kind of started with the Intellivision. God, what was the game on the Intellivision?
The Olympic skiing, big. Utopia.
Just kind of took off
Utopia with the little sliders that you slid into the controllers.
Wasn't the Intellivision the one that had like the circular discs at the top?
The disc,
like,
yeah.
Coleco
was the disc with the joystick, and Intellivision was the...
Was there anybody else here who had the Intellivision when they started?
Badger did.
Badger did? Dude, I loved the Intellivision. It was great. So it kind of started back then with the Intellivision for you. Alright. Stevenson, when did you start gaming? How long have you been gaming?
Gaming for about 24 years now. 28, got a regular Nintendo when I was 4.
So you got a lot of gaming experience under your belt. Was there any favorite system?
I really enjoyed Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo, Ocarina of Time, Gears of War 1, well, all the Gears of Wars. I don't like Destiny a lot.
Gears of War made me have seizures, dude. I had a lot of seizures in Gears of War with the chainsaw. I tried to enjoy it, but damn, man, that screen shake was just crazy.
Took a lot to get used to it, but
how about you, Law? How long have you been gaming, dude?
I've been playing since my Atari 2600 back when I was probably, I don't know, 8 years old or so. Played the heck out of Pitfall, and you'd have that joystick and played Decathlon, and you had to rotate the joystick as fast as possible to run quickly, and you get that blister right in the center of your palm, Still have the scar. It looks like I have, the nails driven through my one palm.
So you look like you were kind of crucified by gaming.
Yeah, but then apparently I wasn't quite good enough and didn't, so they just didn't finish the job.
Are you actually RNGesus?
Yeah.
RNGesus.
Don't blame me for that. No.
Now, Badger, I know you said that it was you who said you had the Intellivision, right?
Yeah. I might be the old guy in the room, 41.
Hey, I'm 41.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I've been playing since games came out. There's one system that I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head, but all it had was Pong on it. That's it. You just plugged it into the back of the TV, and that's what you did.
But you're not making a joke about referencing Atari, are you?
No, this is before that.
Before Atari?
Yes, it was something that my father actually got from somebody. I got Atari, I think, a year later.
And you've been gaming for 41 years.
Well, I mean, I'm 41. I mean,
You're 41,
what,
but it started
5 or
very,
6
very
years
early.
old, I think I started.
No, that's cool, dude. I'm 42.
Right on.
I'm 42. I think we're the oldest people here, maybe. That's cool.
Right on.
We hold the gold belt. Can't take it away. All right. So covering all of that stuff, everybody here has some decent experience with gaming, which is good. The question that I wanted to pass around was the fact that the year one weapons prior to the Taken King, okay, and I'm not going to include the re-rolling of the perks stuff. We're talking about the basic bone weapons. All right, were the year one weapons better than the year two weapons, or do we think that Bungie has gone more conservative for year two weapons because of the need to nerf issues? Let's take a shot. Who wants to start with this?
I see them as honestly a sidestep. I don't really see it as forward or backward. Pulling up my.
You see it as like a stepping stone kind of.
We're raising damage numbers. Looking at 2 scout rifles, year 1, year 2, hung jury versus my old favorite Salvation State. I mean, you're looking at basically identical weapons. The designs of the year 2 are beautiful. The Amalon weapons are just unbelievable. The fusion rifles, I actually think the Amalon fusion rifles are, for PVE, the best that they've put in the game. So those I would put a step up. But overall, I don't see it as a giant leap forward. But I think with the reduction of the stability,
if you had to pick between year one weapons and year two weapons, which would be your preferred, year one or year two?
If I could raise my year one weapons up right now, and it's here's the thing, it's a two-sided deal. It's for PVE, I think that it's the year two are phenomenal. I love all my year two weapons for PVE over probably year one. For PvP, the complete opposite. I don't have a single weapon that I've found year two that can touch a year one weapon for PvP.
I would agree with that.
You would agree with that. What if I disagree with that? What if I was the outsider?
Then you probably had weapons that you carried forward and didn't lose. you have your Red Death still.
Yeah. I still have my Red Death.
And
I still have it. Yeah.
Well,
I've got a couple of year one.
It seems to me a bit too that perhaps Bungie was worried about creating another Gallahorn, a weapon that in PvE that was so powerful that it just reduced bosses and the challenge of bosses to next to nothing when you had a full fire team using it. And so I wonder a little bit whether their sort of conservative approach to some of the general year two weapons had both something to do with hoping to avoid the widespread cries for nerfing from the PvP community, while at the same time protecting themselves from making their PvE story missions, boss fights, too easy or quick by producing these, super powerful exotics.
Okay, you just brought up a really good point that was in the back of my head, but you haven't mentioned it. And I'm gonna actually want to come back to that. You had to choose between year one or year two. Which would you prefer, year one or year two?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's hard for me to answer just with a blanket year two, year one comparison. But I'm a bit like Lost Souls.
I know it's a generalized.
I really like.
Yeah.
I love the Omalon scout rifles. I have the hung jury, and I love that scout rifle. Although I have to admit, my Saturnine rapier with Firefly was my go-to weapon for the entire year one, and I absolutely loved that weapon and would bring it with me, for the next 8 years if this thing actually lasts 10 years, But I would definitely agree with Lost Souls.
So it would be a split decision then.
Yeah, it would, absolutely. But I definitely agree with Lost Souls about PvP. I have not found a weapon in PvP that I'm as comfortable with or enjoy using as much as the weapons that I kind of rotated with.
No, I can understand that. It's a very easy thing to want some of the stuff in year 1 and want some of the stuff in year 2, because there's a lot of stuff like the Cryptic Dragon. Was a great scout rifle for me, but in year 2, I don't think I'm gonna ever be able to ascend that. But it's still in the ball. What about you, Stevenson? Year 1, year 2, split decision?
If I had to pick one, it'd be year 1. I think they know primary, like the found. I haven't used it in so long. Volta Glass hand cannon, Fatebringer. In my opinion, no primary like it currently.
Yeah, you know what? I completely forgot about the raid weapons not carrying over into making me want to cry.
Found Verdict shotgun, in my opinion, is the best PvP stats.
So you would, if you had to make a choice, it would be what? Year 1 or year 2, or you would have to go with being split?
There's some nice year 2s.
So it's kind of like a split decision.
Yeah, I lean more toward year 1, but yeah, I like them both.
So slightly towards year 1. What about you, Badger?
Well, hopefully I'm not too far off topic here, but for me, looking at the talking points, it really boils down to, for me, year 1, better looking and feel pre-Dark Below. I believe that, and I'm probably going to sound like negative Nancy here, but I believe that all of the weapons got worse looking, if you will, after the Dark Below. And about the only need for House of Wolves weapons were for new Elemental Void primaries, like the Void one that I received 2 weeks before Taken King. Got a
Void.
You're
not alone in that, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the post, yeah.
I believe they really, and I mean, it's funny, I was like looking at my paper here, I'm like, man, what did you guys spy on me? I do believe they went conservative. Yeah. Believe they went conservative, so they can nerf it based on our abilities to beat their bosses quickly, and how quickly we do it. And I'll reference the update that was just put up there. I believe it was Deej that said, bringing the pain. Okay, so, and I may be taking this a little too literal, but are they, taking offense to the gamer's ability to adapt? And I use that adaptation word very loosely, because I mean, here we are, we're going to need 300 to 310 just to do the next raid, and to get 310, 320 gear, which I don't know if anyone knew about that. And I don't believe that the weapons are, of year 2 are even being tested.
Yeah.
I believe it's really about waiting for who's going to complain the loudest in PvP, and what's being said in Reddit, and not necessarily a Bungie forum.
No, I can see that too, because I'm pretty sure that everybody here has seen when they post some of the charts that they claim, or from the concurrency center that they supposedly are running. And when they bring up the charts and they say, this is how many people use Thorn, in Iron Banner, and then this is how many people are using Galahorn and stuff like that. Yeah, I can see it being a compilation of a bunch of things, but as far as what they pay attention to the most, I have no idea. I don't know if it's their concurrency center or if it's the people on Reddit.
But that brings up a big problem in itself, in that the numbers that they put up to justify everything, it seems like they balance on usage and not on performance. And if you're going to balance weapons, you should be balancing on performance and not who's using what, because it doesn't matter who's using what.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what Carnival Law was talking about pertaining to the Galahorn. Like, what they posted, and I'm not going to go too far off topic, but what they posted was one of the reasons why they were doing what they were doing with the Galahorn and the nerf. And I didn't care if they nerfed it or not, but the pointing of the community requiring specific people to have it in order to be able to participate in their group raids kind of seemed like passing the buck off on community that was unknown for a reason that they felt justifiable. Like, to me, it was, yeah, the Gallahorn was a great rocket launcher. What did you expect people would do with it? But to kind of point the finger at community requiring the best weapon in the game, or what could have been one of the best weapons in the game, as a reason to nerf it, well, you created it. What did you expect people to do?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump on that bandwagon of, I don't know if you want to call it hate on Bungie for lack of integrity. There's not a single statement that's been made publicly that hasn't been passing the buck.
Yeah, no, I can completely understand that. I can completely understand that statement because there is a lot of passing the buck. Because technically, would you want to be that? And I'm not directing it at you. I'm saying in general. Would you want to be that developer that specifically states, "Hey, we're tired of having to design bosses around one weapon or two weapons that happen to kick its ass." You know what I mean?
I can't wait until we get to that topic.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You were a developer and you did all that work, and then all of a sudden it was just always one weapon that was just ending that boss.
Well, and I think, you know, we've all played this game long enough and hard enough, I think, to recognize that, you know, without it becoming a Bungie bashing podcast at all, I think that so much of what we see that causes us a lot of, you know, sort of angst over this game simply is a reflection of them releasing an unfinished product, or a product that, due to a lot of internal infighting prior to release, was released in these sort of disjointed chunks that all of a sudden things weren't fitting together right. You know, weapons weren't fitting together right with the intended uses or the bosses that they had envisioned, you know, years prior or a year prior, but that you know, once they were in practice and fire teams were being developed and people were getting really skilled, and gamers we're a smart bunch, you know, and we adapt quickly and we find the best ways to get the job done. And I think we caught them totally off guard, and I think they were practically scrambling from day one to figure out how to keep us from just becoming bored, because the game was going to be so easy and uninteresting.
You brought up probably the best point ever regarding, use your word, infighting. If you take a look at year 2, the first thing, and I think when I first met Souls, I brought this up. I said, you know, for all of the year 1, year 2 debate, year 1 weapons and armor, whatever, and I realize I'm getting just a tad bit ahead here, they look spectacular. They feel spectacular. Now you roll into year 2 with, oh, I like the Seattle Seahawks, so I'm going to make all the Crucible stuff blue and green, which is hideous to someone like myself. And
I'm right there with you, dude.
And you take a look at all of the artists that put time and effort into those year 1 things, like the Vault of Glass Warlock armor, you know, the one thing that took me an entire year to complete. And it's like a smack in their face because they're not high enough on the food chain as a developer or whatever their position is to say, hey, wait a minute, you know, my stuff matters, you know.
I gotta ask one question though, and this is gonna be off topic. We've all appear to have been gaming for a really, really long time, you know. And I'm not being ageist. I'm just saying, experience-wise, when we're seeing the videos in Twitch or on YouTube, and you look and you see the developers of the game, the people who are working on the development of the game, I'm sorry, I'm constantly getting the impression that these guys don't have like the gaming experience. I'm not saying that they don't, but when you look at them and they look like they're maybe 18 or 22 years old, and I don't have anything against those people who are that old, but I don't know, like, I'm 42, and when I started gaming it was on the Apple computer. Like, I was playing Karateka, and when I look at these guys, and I'm seeing some of the changes made in the game, I'm sorry. Is there anybody here who isn't left kind of like scratching their head, going, "Why did you do that?"
Souls, I said this to you, didn't I? About that guy with the Cryptarch.
Which one's that?
That Twitch stream.
Yeah, and I said there is no way that dude was alive, or if he was alive, he was still in diapers, you know, when Halo first came out.
And to reiterate, we ain't hating on anybody.
No, absolutely.
We're not.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it goes to your point. and I talk with my son about this, constantly. He's a, Call of Duty guy. And it's like, look, you're missing this. You're not stopping to take a look at this. You're just running through doorways. Oh, I die, I get to respawn. And I almost feel like that's the mentality. There is no exploring and whatnot, to really enjoy what the developers have made.
It's kind of like an experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the loot cave. The loot cave totally backfired. They didn't intend for that. At least I don't think they did. I mean, does anybody disagree with that point? Like, do you think they really intended to have a cave where the stuff was spawning every 30 seconds in a living world?
Well, if you go deep into this subject, if you want my opinion on Bungie and what they're doing as far as how they think about the changes they make to this game, if you go back to when all of us played the original Halo, I don't think I'd be alone in saying that most of us probably spent as much time just roaming the world, seeing what boundaries we could push, where we could get to where we weren't supposed to go, knocking the Banshees off the ledge, flying it, having one person open doors, flying it through the snow level to different parts of it, giant chasm where the
sitting in one place enjoying the music.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it was all about as much exploring the world as it was shooting the Covenant and fighting. And they had incorporated a bit of that into Halo 2 with the Scarab gun and the giant soccer ball. You could get up on top of the Delta Halo, go around the lake. But then with Halo 3, they started introducing the invisible walls and ceilings and got more into the corridor design. And I think that there's just, they just don't have a grasp on what it was that really made their earlier work really magic, and it was that immersion.
Is it grasp, or is it I'm tired of it now?
I think it's grasp. I think, that's, there's a movement blowing up now in the Game Informer Taken King cover story. There was another article in there talking about, it was actually followed it up, talking about the games that are just about like going home, that are about nothing but exploration. Which that's not what Destiny should be, but it's ironic that it follows it up in there, because that's what a lot of us, I think, thought that this was going to be, that we were going to go to Earth, we were going to go to Mars, we were going to go to Venus, and we were going to explore the world.
You brought up a really good point, dude. I'm not going to interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, I thought there was going to be a lot of exploration. But keep going.
Yeah, but that's I just think that their vision of what they're creating is just completely different than what a lot of us envisioned they were creating. I don't know that they were going for the sense of scale at any point that a lot of us thought. I've been waiting since the original Halo for that grand experience where it's Halo on a just Skyrim scale. I thought it would be Reach.
You made me moist.
You remember?
No, you did. You made me moist with that, because that's what I've been looking for years.
The Reach video with the warthogs rolling across the rolling across the open plains in the Reach trailer. And
this isn't my couch, by the way. This is my roommate's couch. If I got moist on it, I ruined it. Sorry. Just to get that out there. Alright, so year 1 gear, better than year 2 gear, or are we looking at the same scenario as the weapons as far as Bungie is concerned? I think they're being conservative. I think because of what they're doing with, well, now we're not going to make it so that the exotic armor is going to be set. They're rolling out this thing where you can take the needles or whatever they're called, and you can change some of the perks on it, but not the exotic perk, not the perk that's set. They're giving us that ability to change some of the basic perks for what weapons they boost and stuff like that. So I think that they're being more conservative, because they've learned from the experiment of we're going to let everybody re-roll the stats, and everybody went for what? They went for shot package, you know, and that ended up being a nightmare. Which, you know, how many nerfs were there for shotgun?
About 4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right.
I personally thought that the House of Wolves gear was the best that we've seen in the game. I do like the helm that I have, the Empyrean Bellicose, but it's just, I don't know. There's a lot of gear that was just too much last November when we were leveling up, and here we are wearing it again in the Taken King for me. And particularly when they put up the art for all the different designers a couple months back. Does everyone remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When they put that up, there was a lot of really beautiful gear. I remember seeing Titan helms that looked like, I know we'll probably all remember it, the old G-Force cartoon with the bird beaks and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I mean, for people that, you know, of our generation, it was just really incredible to see that anime kind of inspired gear designs, and I expected to see that in the Taken King and to see an evolution over what we had with House of Wolves, and I've been really surprised that we haven't. That just so much gear is again the same gear that the Vanguard vendor was selling last September. So that's my take on it. I have been disappointed in overall what I've seen so far, and hopefully it's, you know, something we'll get to, but for why we're not there
So
yet.
you think that they could actually be doing better as far as the cosmetic designs instead of the bird design?
Yeah, I think, you know, when we saw House of Wolves came out, the completely different aesthetic. You had a lot of gear pieces that had the multicolor. I know my Titan had flashes of red on the gauntlets and flashes of red on his hip, and, you know, things like that made the characters more interesting. And then, you know, when, you know, this is supposed to be a brand new game with or whatever, with Taken King, and so I expected that we were going to have just like, I don't know, like us going into Skyrim or any other game, you know, just massive amounts of just new things to wear, and it's not. It's so much of the same old gear, and I don't understand that part of it at all.
Some of it to me comes across as, well, we're going to cycle this summon, because technically speaking, if you don't have to totally create or design new stuff and save money, you just get a new game, you set up herds, and then they save money.
But the weapons are here's what I guess what I'm trying to say is I expected the armor to be like the weapons. You know, we've got the Amalon, we've got the Haka, we've got the Suros, and all these really unique different aesthetics for the three as far as the designs. Where is that with the armor?
Yeah, and Souls, I would agree with that, and add to it that this is something that was, you know, observed early on by I think a lot of us, was that oftentimes the lower level armor, especially the blues, the rare stuff, just had a design appeal, and it looked like an amount of effort that went into its design that actually we weren't seeing at the legendary or exotic level.
What the hell, dude? Some of the blues.
No, the other day I came in. Right,
Yeah,
the other day I
so
came in and my son was playing on his Warlock, and he was wearing this chest piece, and it was absolutely wicked. It looked so cool, and I had never seen it before, and I asked him what the heck that was, and he showed me, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a blue. It was a rare that had just dropped for him on something. And
well, I think that goes back to
it was just awesome.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the fact that those blues are new designs in a lot of cases, and
right.
Then when we get to the higher level gear, we're wearing again, you know, the rebranded, you know, year one helms and whatnot that we had before.
Yeah.
Right.
It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder whether or not they're going to take the rare food here now, and then look at whatever they look at and go, "Hey, this was the stuff that people were the most, even though it was rumors
Right.
apparently that they liked it. We're going to make that the legendary or exotic stuff in the next DLC or expansion."
I think they
Why don't they just
Maybe,
make
but
it where people can infuse all of it so they can have the look they want?
You're going to make me moist again.
Oh
Because,
my
dude,
God.
if it's, I'm sorry, but that's kind of how I feel about it. That stuff just makes me go,
No, it's pretty
like,
pretty darn appealing, yeah, no doubt.
yeah. I mean, Stevenson, how do you feel about it?
I think that just to say, I'm just going to compare Vault of Glass armor with King's Fall armor. The armor now definitely has more perks, even if it's just one more. Aesthetically, they're changing the looks. They kind of reskin stuff. The armor still looks nice. I just don't understand why we can't. You could do this in this game called Halo, where
Halo.
two different
I've heard of that game.
two different boots, and you could shade your armor. Like, I don't know if any of you ever played Warframe. You could, instead of earning shaders,
Color palette.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, is that what's in there? They actually have a color palette, like an actual bar?
They have no, it's even better. It's a grid. They have many of them, and you can bar it like it has a bar on the side to change. Basically, you're doing codes without having to do the codes. It's gorgeous.
Why couldn't they implement that? Like, why?
Easy.
See how hard it could really be. I mean, I'm sure coding takes a lot of work and effort and all that stuff, but I mean, really, how much time could that take to? So, but
I don't know. They kind of. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna sum it up and say that I think this Year 2 armor is more effective. One thing, if you guys haven't looked at the Year 2 no backup plans, I think that's what every legendary should look like in terms of perks, and I think exotic armor should have more perks.
Badger, did you mention that you had coding experience? I could have swore I heard you say something about netcode.
Yeah, it was me. It's been a while, dude. I mean, we're talking probably 10 years, but yeah, I was doing C++ for quite a bit as a side hobby, and I'm not gonna go into what I do, but
so maybe you could shed some light on this for me, because I know nothing of C++ or C++. Just an open question to anybody here who happen to remember this. All right, I specifically recall when people were already asking for more space in the vault early on. I don't know, somewhere around like the 6th month of the game or whatever. And they basically said, well, we're going to have to take out the comparison window so that when you have something equipped, you can't hold the trigger down and then compare it to what you're using or what you have equipped. You guys remember that?
yeah, I do. I also remember them saying that it would take too much space in the game to do it.
Right. Now you're on the same track. Keep going. What were you going to say? Is you were saying, but keep going.
Well, I was just going to say that with those statements made, now we look at what we have in Taken King with, like you said, the comparisons, the added, vault space, what have you. That whole excuse, if you will, again, not hating on Bungie, but the excuse is just completely invalid. It should have never even been said.
You just went exactly right. You just went exactly where I was trying to understand. They said they didn't have the space, but all of a sudden, like, here comes this space, and I'm not hating on them for it. Like, I'm glad that they did it. I'm like appreciative of the fact that they added the space, and now you can compare the stuff again. But where did the space come from? Like, it just makes me wonder. Like,
Well, I said something like this in one of the forums one time, and I got no response other than from Souls, so maybe it was a little far out there. But I was talking about, and this shouldn't be too far off from what we're talking about, but you know how in Taken King, we're all hyped up for the story, this and that, and basically we ended up dropping at the other side of the map, a linear map, and we dropped on the other side, right, to start?
Right.
Okay, well, if you've done any type of mission editor whatsoever in any other game, PC-wise or what have you, have to be PC, but where you've made your own missions. I'll use Dawn of War RTS for the example, or StarCraft.
Yeah, you could say Far Cry, you could say Time Splitters on the original Xbox, yeah.
So we all did that in Mission Editor just so we didn't have to make the same map over and over. It's no different going straight back into the vault, the colors, the armor. It's all the same stuff because it takes time. And I don't know what they're doing with their time. And going back to the colors thing, the color palette itself would have been the simplest thing to do rather than hash out, in my personal artistic opinion, 80% of the shaders that are absolutely horrid. That also do not cover. Well, I thought in House of Wolves, like, we were going in the right direction, where maybe it was a patch after House of Wolves, I forget, where all of our stuff started to actually get colored along the way, and I was like really stoked about that. Except, I was like, man, I wish they could do this with weapons or something, but oh well, this is good enough. Well, then Taken King came about. My hunter got his first whatever camouflage cloak that was, something squiddy or whatever, and it's blue and white on a green hunter, and I'm like, come on, here we go again.
Right.
And
before I move on to the next question, I'm sorry, was there something else you wanted to add?
No. Good.
Everything you just said made sense to me. In the back of my mind, if a shader exists and the data is there, then it already exists in the game to be applied to something else. Like, I may be wrong, but that's how my mind works. So if the blacksmith shader exists in the game, I know that there's a little bit of trickery when you want to apply it to something, but if you want to apply it to a weapon, all you got to do is just create the code, just be able to apply it to the weapon.
Or release, if you will, the lock in the two items. That's really all it is. You're basically putting in either a small code, or you're taking off the block to say, I want this to apply to that as well.
Right. You're talking about like creating the list of things that it should apply to, or unlocking it so that it can be applied to other data.
Yeah, it's just a requirement. That's all it is.
All right. So real quick, I'm just going to simplify this one last question, because this is either just a yes or a no. Year 2, improvement or not improvement over year 1? Like, just yes or no? Like, to me, it is an improvement. I've seen a lot of improvements.
Just talking overall, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, it's the most there's been to do in this game by far since, for me, the Dark
Stevenson?
Yeah, it's definitely an improvement, and I think they'll keep improving.
Badger?
Yes, and I hope they keep improving.
And Law, I know you're maybe grinning, but yeah, it's definitely an improvement from what I've heard you say. It's definitely there.
Yeah, sorry, I threw my yes in there.
I wasn't sure if I heard you say yes or not. There's quite a few yeses going on. Okay, so next. Quest designs that require people into PvP, and the incentivizing PvP with legendary marks is only making the PvP versus PvE, player versus environment, fight worse. Do we agree or disagree? Because I can see how that's happening. I've seen the discussions on the forums. Anybody want to jump on that?
Can I jump on that one real quick?
Yeah, man.
I want to be the enemy of every PvPer out there. Okay, like I said before, or have said in the past, PvP is not my game. I
it's
play
not your
with
game?
friends.
You don't like PvP?
Let me explain. Back in the days of Half-Life, when you could run around, when I was younger, and I could run around and beat people with a crowbar, and that was all I needed. Forget your rocket launcher and everything else. That was skill. Jump on your head and hit them. Those days they're beyond me, I guess. And I'm not. It's not tactics anymore. It's run around a corner, shoot, blah blah blah. However, I'm not the guy that cried nerf on a gun, not once, nor anything else. But where I'm going with this is, where we touched on it before that, a lot of us probably bought the game thinking that it was going to be open world, that kind of thing. That's my gaming now. Skyrim, Fallout 3, you name it. Those kind of things, they get me. And that's why I bought Destiny. And
for player versus environment for the exploration.
Absolutely. Make up your own story in your head. I do that with Destiny even now when I go on patrol because I don't have anything else to do. And we all know the comments from everybody, well, are all three of your characters and blah, 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 blah. Where I'm going with this is I'll play PvP with my friends because they need somebody, and after, maybe 100 matches, I get warmed up. But the main thing is, you're requiring me to play PvP now for quests and marks, and I kind of have become, at first I felt a little guilty, but now I don't anymore, and I just jump off ledges because I got to do it once a day. I don't even want to be here. And I jump off the ledge, and, I've said that openly in the forums, and it's like, look, this is not what I want to do. If I want a gun because I'm a collector, you're going to make me go in here and do this? Okay, well, I got two more friends that don't want to do it either, so we'll go into Rumble and shoot each other in the face. And it's...
You would not be the first to admit that. I've got friends that do that, and I'm guilty of doing it too.
So. Yeah, and I think, this is something, I do enjoy the PvP component of Destiny. I'm not particularly good at it.
Shame on you,
I don't take
shame
it,
on you.
I don't take it, I don't take it particularly seriously. I get really bent out of shape, when I can see someone's obviously lag switching and stuff like everybody else does, but I think that my primary concern with the requirement to go into PvP for quests is not so much that it's a requirement. I think that, there are certain weapons and gear that if you want it and PvP is a requirement, you just got to go in and get it, and, maybe you'll end up enjoying it, maybe you'll hate every second of it. Who knows? I know Bungie's hope is that they'll expose more players to PvP who then become active in PvP.
You just reminded me of something else, but I'll hit everybody with it after this. But keep going.
Yeah, no, but I guess it's the way that these quests that people are rewarded in PvP for these quests. For example, like just the Crucible quest line itself from Lord Shaxx. That I think the end result reward is the Hothead rocket launcher. You have to win 37 matches across Crucible playlists. In addition to like top 3 in the Rumble playlist, like 3 or 4 times or something like that. And when you have that requirement for winning those matches, I think that the motivation, Bungie's original motivation was, knowing that not everybody's going to win every match, that it'll force people to play longer. If some people have to play 20 matches to win X number of matches. Other guys will win the first 3 that they play.
Right.
But the problem with that is that it's rewarding winning, and by rewarding only winning, you obviously sort of incentivize, quitting on a losing team. And so, right now, I don't know if you guys have played much PvP lately, but even prior to the Iron Banner, quitting is rampant right now.
It is.
And has been, rampant. It's a drag.
I cannot disagree.
It's such a drag.
At all. Yeah.
No, they could have done something to address this with, just putting even a 5-minute cooldown if you quit out of a match, or a 10-minute cooldown before you can join again.
You're talking about an incentive not to quit.
Without punishing people too bad.
Yeah, and I kind of like Souls. I like that, absolutely. That's a fine idea. I also like, I didn't know this because I haven't finished the Crucible quest line, but I was looking into it, and the mountaintop is the last sort of step of that quest line, apparently, before the reward. And in it, you have to get to 9 points, and in some particular playlist, I can't remember which one it is, but you get 3 points for a win, 0 for a loss, but you're not penalized for a loss. But if you quit out and start a new match, you lose a point. So you're not penalized like 5 minutes or 15 minutes or something, but if you leave a match and start another one, you lose a point. So,
you're talking about the progress being, you're talking about the
right.
Progress being,
So there are some creative ways to combat this, just widespread quitting. because of the way
there's a rumor that Stevenson went on a 60-0 kill streak in the Crucible. I wanted to address that. Stevenson, is it true? He went on a 60-0 kill streak in the Crucible.
Yes, it's true.
It's true. I thought it was true too. I thought it was true. But
They're not
pertaining
like a
to
22, 23 kill streak.
do you think that it's causing a fight or causing more fighting in the game pertaining to the quest lines that are forcing people to go into PvP or no?
I don't think it has to. I think when people don't get what they want, they're gonna, cheat or quit or complain. And I think that, if you want raid weapons or PVE weapons, PoE weapons or whatever, you do that. And if you want Crucible and PvP exclusive weapons, you're gonna have to just nut up and get good and it. Definitely think that awesome that they have, exclusive weapons on both sides. And if anyone really wants to make the effort, like I got the Chaperone, and I only use the last word, and that's not unheard of. I mean, a lot of people were using supers and other weapons, and I wasn't aware of that. I grinded that shit out. It took me about 4 hours. I did not go to sleep. I also just want to say that people should get some type of timeout for quitting, and Destiny Bungie needs to figure out whether it's a lag issue or connection issue or not. If are repeat offenders, then I think they should be penalized some way. Nothing too crazy, but something.
Yeah, in the most recent, I'm sorry, Badger. Was there? I didn't want to miss you. Was there anything you wanted to add to that?
Slightly add, but I wanted to ask him a question of his thoughts on something. Like, the first time I jumped off a ledge was because the entire team quit, and it was me against 4. So I was like, well, I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to jump, and that's what started that for me. But what is your take though about? And I get it, exclusive weapons and whatnot, and it sounds great. But what is your take on what if you just had separate quest line to attain those for both PvE players and PvP?
Oh, are you talking about an alternative? In other words, you can
because I mean,
go
like,
into PvP. I think that would be a great idea.
Because I mean, he is a serious PvP player. He wants to go up against competition, and even though I'm not saying that he went up against scrubs like me in there to get his 60, but the last thing he wants is to be going up against some dude like me that's like staring at the ground, walking around the corner because I don't have the time to dedicate to that. Where he could have fun against some dudes, that are on his level. And I mean, I thought that that's what they were going to do at Trials until whatever happened with the Night Stalker thing. But, I mean, there's really, maybe this is just me speaking, but there's really no need for us to be there, unless we're, going to be casual about it or something. And then we know we're going to get our butts kicked.
Well, this brings about something that happened early on, probably within the first just couple of months of the contract that came out online or was exposed online between Bungie and Activision pertaining to Destiny's sales and revenue and what it is that Bungie needed to do in order to be able to maintain their contract for the stipulations in their contract to be able to continue to work with Activision. And one of the things that was not in the contract but was rumored was the fact that a certain percentage of the player population playing Destiny needed to participate in the player versus player PvP competitive arena of the game. Now, later on, it turned out that there was that 15% time spent as a majority of the players were actually in PvP, player versus player in the Crucible. In my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing with the quest lines, because they're not getting enough people into the Crucible, into PvP, into that arena, because that 15% time being spent, and it came out in that pie chart that was shown where they kind of lumped everything together, where 50% the community was actually spending its time in PvP, whereas the rest was everything that was PvE. I think Bungie's trying to get people to do that. Do I feel that there should be an alternative for people who are against PvP and can't stand it to be able to complete those quests that have PvP required? Yeah, I think they should offer that because there is that demographic of younger players that are no good at PvP. And they want to be able to enjoy the game whether they're 14 or 15 years old and they're not that good at it and don't have the time. But, as far as Bungie being able to do it or doing it, I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're gonna do whatever it is that's going to increase their numbers in a direction that they see fit.
Sounds like they're legally strapped right now.
I have to agree.
Looking at the whole
go ahead,
whole situation with the if should there be two different ways to acquire, like I guess what you're getting at, Badger, is like a thorn, not just a PvP but a PvE way to acquire like a weapon like that. Is that what you're getting
Correct.
at?
Yeah.
So what I think a big part of the problem is the fact that Bungie, for whatever reason, in PvP, don't know what they want this game to be. And it all goes back to the fact that when we go in there, they let us take our own weapons, and then they want to nerf our weapons when we find one that's really good. The incentive should be to, if you're outgunned, if someone has something better than you, then, man, I want to go do this quest, or I want to go do, whatever to earn that, to have my own great weapons. And, I've said it, 1,000 times when they started with the Vex nerf, and then, it trickled into the Suros, and then next thing you know, the entire class of auto rifles got destroyed. And at this point, it doesn't matter if there's a great weapon, because what's really the incentive to go do it? I mean, I like that there's the class weapons now. The Warlocks have the scout rifle. I don't know what the other ones have, but there should, in my opinion, there should be, the PvP weapon that you can go find, and it should be its own thing, and but there should be a PvE hand cannon as well, but it doesn't have to be the same, but give each
Exactly.
You've got the raid weapons,
Wait, I have to interrupt because I want to clarify because I want to make sure I understand. Are you talking about RNG exotic quests?
I'm talking about we have had the thorn quest, that you had to, and that wasn't all PvP, but for all intents and purposes, it was a PvP quest. Why not make that just a weapon that for PvP players, if you're someone that loves to PvP, you can go in there, and this is something you can get spending time doing something you love, which is being in the Crucible. And it's same thing for those who like to raid, same thing for those that like to do strikes. If you're someone that just sits there and you get on Destiny, which I did for the first, I don't know, probably 2 months of just chain strikes, for 6-7 hours a day, because it was fun. But I'm sure there's still people that's what they want to get on and do. So why not have, if you do 100 strikes or whatever, or you down 100 strike bosses, here's something you can earn doing that, not RNG, be it, a Galahorn or whatever. But give people that play different facets of the games different weapons, great weapons that they can go and earn to take to PvP, to take to PvE, and then don't nerf them.
Yeah.
Don't
destroy them once they're in the game.
Everything you said was completely relevant, but that part at the end about don't nerf them, really kind of drove a nail into my brain at that point.
Or we're gonna reset all your exotics for the 3rd time.
Well, and going back to the Dark Below, when I started playing again, I played it was all strikes all the time. And then Dark Below, I got more into PvP, and then House of Wolves. I mean, that's all I did. I waited for Iron Banner, and I was on every waking moment. I was, not at work in a week playing Iron Banner. And the thing for me was came to the reforging and really being able to search for the gear that we want, not being beholden to the RNG, which I think would something
right,
that
so be able to tweak
quests,
it to something that you prefer.
Yeah, if we had these quests, more quests for the Thorns and the whatever of the world, and again, make them PvE and PvP, that we can control, what we have. I didn't mind going and facing these great weapons because I could take my Hygia Nobilis or my Salvation State, and I could roll it how I wanted it. And that's something that's really been driving me nuts, this Iron Banner. And that's, I'm still having fun, but I'm not doing very well. But it's just, again, going to the weapons. I love them in PvE, but PvP not so much, because I don't have, in order to face the, I don't mind facing a Red Death. I mean, a guy can go around the corner and he can pop off 2 rounds in my face and I'm dead, or he can, one-shot me with his shotgun still from forever away. But, if I have a weapon that fits how I like to play, I can deal with that. And at this point, I don't. And I don't think a lot of people really got into the reforging and really took advantage of that as far as what they could do to really make their weapons great that weren't the Thorns of the world.
I was going to say, it makes me wonder how many people, over the course of the last year, when the second year, was initiated in 60K and everything, it makes me wonder how many people stopped playing because of the feeling of lack of control over their own content.
I'm almost only here because of the friends that I made, because this is my first online community and having friends online. It's almost the only reason I'm here. And I mean, I'm sure do you guys that are all about PvP and Stevenson definitely wanted to ask you. I mean, would you feel like if they had, for instance, and it wouldn't take much, if you had a PvP specific Thorn versus a PvE specific Thorn where they had different perks? I mean, would that upset you as a PvP player?
No.
I definitely.
Yeah, of course not, because you earned it there and I earned it here, and it's not compatible. You want to play with it in PvP, go earn it in PvP.
So many people, I've seen lots of posts that people want to see that alternate Thorn, and call it the Rose. Well, there it is. You've got your Thorn, which has your poison or whatever from PvP. Why not make a PvE version, call it the Rose or whatever you want to call it, and give it a different perk set,
Chance of orb generation or health regen, something would be good in a raid.
Yeah.
If there was enough story or lore, or at least something noticeable to see, being able to get a different version of a weapon, or something similar for both, that's great. I don't even see that existing so much, but hey, this is the reason why you have to get it here,
I don't know. To me, Bungie has always had some kind of problem separating the PvE element from the PvP element pertaining to how they need to balance the stuff. They seem to be really struggling with it. They struggled with it during year 1. I haven't been playing enough PvP in year 2 yet to see whether or not they've actually straightened anything out. I know that there's differences in the damage from headshots and all that kind of stuff like that, but I don't know. They seem like they're really struggling with it, and I don't know whether or not they're actually going to get a handle on it.
I don't think there's a handle.
I think that really speaks to, sorry, Souls, but I was actually going to say, I think that really speaks to what you brought up earlier, and that's that it's unclear, I think, to a lot of us what Bungie wants this game to be, or what they thought it would be when they released it. I mean, it really, it really remains to be seen what direction this game is going to go. Because for me, there hasn't really been any clear direction. It's been kind of all over the place.
I was going to move on to the next question unless anybody else had anything else that they wanted to add to that particular
Just take the grimoire and the story out of the PvP requirement. I can't find out what's at the lighthouse because I can't get there. I don't need a weapon. I just want the story, man. That's all I want.
That is
as much as I like the story, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's times I'm running by stuff, and I know the ghost icon comes up and everything, but whatever I'm running by, like, I'm really not taking the time to actually whip out the ghost and take time to read.
I'm just going to throw this out there. You know, I don't know if you have Xbox One, but if you were on Xbox One, I would play Trials with you, a really good teammate, and we would do it. If, you know, you might, like, get sick of it after the first match or whatever, but, like, if you stuck to it and were persistent, I've been on some serious losing streaks, but then you just get one, you know, like one series of games that just flows. You use your boons and your buffs, get there, and then when you there, man, and there's some really close calls. I mean, some really intense scenarios, man. Struggled and dealt with the bullshit. If you had patience for it, got there, it would really be worth it, man.
No, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. And I mean, I've played Trials with my buddies, and we had some, you know, I'm not as bad as I make myself out to be. I just don't have the KD to back it up because I don't play that much.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, I know. But no, and I mean, my whole thing is, and I guess what frustrates me is, you dudes go in there and you do work, and you earn that crap. You know, hats off to you. But I gotta go do it just to get a grimoire card to read what the lighthouse is all about. Come on, you know what I mean? I don't deserve a weapon I haven't earned. No argument. But I gotta go in there. I gotta make it to the lighthouse to know what it's all about. The story that's not there to begin with. That's where I get frustrated. I can't believe Samsung Galaxy hasn't sued him over the kiosk issue in the tower.
Yeah. I'm sure they're sitting around a table going, should we go after this? You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure that the idea is as fast quick. All right. So pertaining to how involved we are with the game, and I know that there's things about the game that we enjoy, ways to connect us to the world in which our guardians live, and to our guardians, such as apartments, ship interiors, personalized emblems, or decals that can be applied to gear. Somebody put in here War Priest's idea. Yeah, that's true. Are you referring to the to the etchings? Are you referring to the etchings? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, that's right, War Priest.
The etchings?
Yeah, I love that. Love that idea.
I went out of my way for that, and once again, Bungie did not acknowledge my presence. You know.
I heard through the grapevine that they only respond to me, so I will try to do my best.
You gotta say poopy. That's the magic word.
Yeah, if I put up a post, you get banned. I don't understand. Also, add a library where we can read Grimoire and research Destiny lore. You know, dude, I'd much rather prefer those things than finding all that stuff in the environment. Like an occasional thing in the environment where I whip out the ghost and it gives me some story, that's cool. But I'd much rather like go to like somebody's apartment and see their collection. Like example, Carnival's in the game or Stevenson's in the game, even Badger, Assault, whatever. So you cross something in the environment where you whip out the ghost and it collects the information. Okay, well if you've got a ship in the game and it's got its own data bank, I'd love to be able to sit down in your ship at your data bank and read Grimoire stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
bringing up the ship, and I wish I could remember who posted it, and I don't believe it was one of us here. And I tried finding it and I couldn't. But someone on this topic of how to bring us into the game, they were talking about they have an issue with going to the tower or the reef because they don't have the best internet. Probably have satellite or some kind of
trailer park Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so they have issues to the tower. Those of us who played World of Warcraft remember going to Dalaran and frame rates dropping to 2-3 frames a second. So they were saying they want a space where they can go by themselves to do the things that you do in the tower. Why not have that available on the ships? Again, give us way to have actual ships, that we can customize, we can walk around, and for players that don't want to go to the tower, don't want to always be around 15 people that they can't do anything but wave at and dance with, that they can go to their ship and they can go and they can turn in their bounties or pick up bounties or whatever,
I think you answered it.
Yeah.
No one's going to want to go to the tower anymore.
I think people would, and I don't think you have everything there. I mean, I think the vendors are still there. I mean, obviously the weapon, the gunsmith and whatnot, you would have to go to the tower for those things. But to access your vault, the shader collections and whatnot, I mean, that's all stuff that could be on a ship that we can explore.
Yeah, but to get to oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say
you do yours first because I'm about to piss rain on.
Somebody, I'm not sure who it was mentioned.
I'm going to get
nobody
would. Pet pads, dude.
Not bad brain, just a whole brain of ideas. But go ahead, Walt.
Right.
Yeah, no worries. That nobody would go to tower, but this idea, I just for so long I've been almost obsessing about this idea of a library, and I didn't come up with it myself. I read about somebody posted about it a long time ago, long time ago, and a few other people have expanded on it, and I commented on their posts and stuff. But if you do any looking into the Destiny fan fiction or anything out there, guys who are real hardcore grimoire collectors and really dive into the lore and stuff, I love reading their posts and reading their stuff. It's fascinating, and it's massive, how big the sort of story of Destiny is or could be that's not in the game at all, not even remotely. And I think we all have played long and hard enough to know that. But it's always just, I'm reminded of it anytime I am lucky enough to come across someone who's really taken the time to expand on it in writing. And, I would just, how cool would it be to go to the tower and have a place where you walk in and anybody else who's there, it's a kind of thing where, party chat is available or something, and you can just...
Are you talking about proximity chat? Yeah.
Or proximity chat, yeah, right, exactly. So you just walk in and, you're in this beautiful library where there are a bunch of different things to do, some NPCs to interact with. You can watch some kind of cutscene videos of things that aren't in story missions, and you can talk to the other people who are in there. And I imagine some of these grimoire masters, these story lore guru guys, would be the guys you might run into in there. And I would love to pick their brain about the history of some of my gear and
right.
and battles that were fought.
Right, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but
not at all. I was done.
The one thing that you're mentioning is just kind of bringing about to me that if Bungie implemented that idea, okay, they could have taken it to another level where when you went there, an even bigger incentive would have been that while you were there, hidden clues within the grimoire and books and things you were reading or the NPCs. I mean, come on, we have Siri for Christ's sake. We have Siri connected to the internet. You can have NPCs connected to all the knowledge of the game, okay? That there could have been clues within the books that you yourself could have figured out by yourself.
I love that idea.
You to somewhere that would have gotten you something that would have been different from everybody else. So
awesome.
they could have. I don't know why that they didn't do so many imaginary. I don't know if they lacked the imagination or what, but yeah, that would have motivated me, dude.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I completely agree, and that's one of the things that I feel like is just so lacking from the game is something that connects me on a real emotional level to it. Not just the desire for better gear, not just the hope that RNG will bless me with something amazing next time.
The discovery and work to be able to find
that discovery, exactly. That, just that there's something massive out there for me to explore, and there are some really cool things for me to discover if I have the patience, sort of the wherewithal, the intellect, the ability to discern the clues. And those aren't huge. Those additions for me, and I think a lot of players would far exceed the effort it would take for Bungie to put them in the game. I just
I
feel
can
like
see, dude, I
right.
can see an entire forum thread,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of threads, just basically, hey guys, there's a clue, tell me what this means, and then you got a whole bunch of minds working together to solve the problem.
Yeah, just that connection to the game.
Yeah, a connection to other players. Right, and who's to say that what you discovered wouldn't be different from what they discovered? Say you did it, say you followed the clues, say you read the grimoire, say you pieced it all together, and then finally when you got to one location just from the fact that your character classes happened to read those things, it gives you not something that everybody else has. Like a year 1 weapon that's of year 2 damage status that has 310 that's an exotic that only you will have. Not because Bungie went out of the way to create it, but data's already in the game. If the data already exists for that pistol, and the data already exists for the damage, and the data already exists for the shader, like I discussed with Badger, then why can't that data just simply be put together at that moment when you discover your reward?
And War Priest, do you mind if I ask a question? I mean, it's kind of on this topic of everybody here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you sound super enthused.
Well, I'm expecting.
Yeah, sure. Take my job.
As long as it's not a question about my age.
Oh my God. Jesus.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First it's moist, and now it's.
Dude, don't worry. I've got everything.
Right. But no, I would be curious from everybody here because I've talked with you guys enough. I've played with a lot of you too. I really respect your opinions on this and perspectives on this game. What is for you? Do you feel emotionally invested in this game the way you want to be emotionally invested in this game? And yeah, and I'll just real quick just answer for myself. I don't, and I feel addicted to this game. I feel compelled by the potential this game still holds, even though it seems way too late to still be talking about potential. But I don't feel that emotional connection that I want so badly from this game. I want to feel so connected to my Guardians, their lives, their history, the Destiny universe, and I just don't feel that connection that I would expect.
I'm going to be completely honest with everybody here, and I'm going to keep it really as short as I possibly can. I think the problem with me with this individual game is that the individuality of each person playing is kind of stripped from your ability to be an individual in the game. When you go there and you're playing with your friends and they're wearing pretty much the same stuff you're wearing, and the gear and everything that you're using is supposed to tell your story. It's not telling your story. There's nothing individual about you other than your gamer tag. That Bungie had the ability to make this game with what they had available, and it didn't require much. They had the ability to make it so each individual player had the ability to be, yes, a snowflake. But what they did is, instead of your gear telling a story, they turned your gear into an advertisement. Where did you get that? Oh, I got it in the Iron Banner. Okay, well, you just advertised going to play the Iron Banner. Well, where did you get that? I got it from a strike. Oh, okay, well, that advertised that other person who's interested has to go play that strike. In other words, the individuality that you have is just nothing more than an advertisement.
Or it's fleeting.
They took away the individuality and they turned it into an advertisement for each person playing the game. And to me, was I invested in the game? Yes. Was I excited about the game? Yes. But as far as the individuality goes, they didn't do what I would have done. I would have made like you had mentioned about the etching.
I think it goes.
It would have brought. Go ahead.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is what going back to Halo and through the various games and to Destiny. What they see the game as and what we see the potential as. And
that really does fall into it.
We're looking for for that epic adventure, and they're still on that 30 seconds of fun, which was Halo. They're 30 seconds of fun. You go, you run, you shoot something, you run, you shoot something else, and rinse and repeat. And that's what they're giving us. We've said before, rather than give us, endless new weapons, and Badger and I have discussed this, and also with Carnival, they have experience, real world experience with weapons, and it's something where Siege with his, we'll get bored with our weapons over 10 years. Well, that's not the case in real life, and
Deer season starts tomorrow for me. I've got my 257 ready to go.
Yeah.
Hey, that was last year. I said that. It doesn't come this year.
But rather than give us 8 million of the the new scout rifle that is the same as the old scout rifle with a higher damage number, give us more to go do with those weapons that we have, more places to go take those weapons and fight various things with them. I go back to the island level on the original Halo, and just what a unique experience that was. That you could go to that island with a buddy, and you land on that beach, get out of the Pelican. One of you goes left, one of you goes right, and you could go do your own things and clear that island. And for the most part, a different order. You didn't have to do things in the exact order every time. And where is that since then? Have we seen that in any other Halo game, any other Bungie game since then? Has there been anything?
And you know what? I don't want to cut off anybody else that wanted to add anything. Did anybody else want to say anything in response to Souls? Because
not in response to Souls, but well, maybe it's partly, but with Stevenson, I think it's two-part. One, where you guys gave me the information I didn't have about the 15% and what they had to have legally to go into certain aspects of the game.
I have to interrupt you because I have to stress this point. That was a rumor, and it was a very early rumor. But keep going.
Okay, well, maybe it's a substantiated rumor. Who knows? But if that is the case, considering Activision, Call of Duty, all that kind of stuff, that would be that part. And then on the emotional piece, I mean, not getting too crazy into my personal life here, but dude, you look at Reach. I told Souls this when I first met him. I had an emotional connection to that thing, and I'm not talking about, this is my Noble Six kind of thing. No. That the story, the characters, everybody spoke to me about, friends of lost, things like that, in the capacity that it happened. And I mean, dude, by the end of that thing, I was crying like a baby. I was just glad I was single and alone at the time.
Dude, Cortana, I dreamt about Cortana. There are connections between video games and people for one very, very good reason, and it is a legitimate reason. It's a justifiable reason. We play video games because video games are an escape. They're a form of entertainment, just like movies, just like television, just like reading a book. The reason why we go there is so that we can escape, so that we can feel things, so that we can have attachments, we can use our imagination. So what you're explaining with Reach is something that's going to make me cry right now because I missed out on Reach. That's another game I missed out on. But I can completely understand what you're talking about right now, pertaining to the connections, the story, and how it makes you feel again.
This doesn't do it for me in Destiny.
Well, and that's just it, and Souls, I'd be curious about your take on this too. I don't see this franchise lasting if they don't make establishing a real connection between the players and this universe and the people in it, and not just the other players we play with, because they make such a big deal over the social connections that they don't obviously help us.
Right, but do you or do you not agree that the individuality needs to be there in order to be able to make that connection?
Oh, no question, no question. But so does the much richer story. Because I need to be not just connected to my guardians, but I need to be connected to this universe. This universe in which, or this solar system in which we fight and die and revive and interact. I need to feel more connected, or I'll find another game that I feel connected to. Otherwise it's just more iterations of sort of Call of Duty in space.
Right, Stevenson, I'm sorry, I gotta ask. You were trying to say something, I couldn't hear you. What was it you were trying to add?
Oh, there's been a few different things that I'm just listening and just hearing the really good feedback. But one thing I was thinking.
Kind of makes you soft and warm inside, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm really soft and warm right now, and I'll tell you what I was thinking about. In Gears of War 3, when Dom Santiago, he sacrificed and killed himself for the rest of the crew. And when I saw that, actually I was in a party, I unplugged my mic and I put my controller down. I actually was, I was crying a little bit, I was like,
wait, what game is this?
Shit. Gears of War 3.
Gears.
Yeah.
Oh. For a second there, I thought you were talking about Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
No.
You remember that game? Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
There you go. All right, there you go. All right. Because I heard San Diego. I thought you were referring to that game. I was like, damn.
We just lost all the listeners to this podcast after that.
Yeah, no, I know.
But that's all I had. Yeah, I would like connection with my guardian. I would like my guardian to have maybe just a little bit of personality and a voice. Like you hear your ghost talk to you once every 30 minutes. Maybe and I'm not even.
And that's what's
the ghost.
Dude,
voice.
that's what's okay. You're hinting upon something that's been killing me. All right, how many cinematics were there in the Halo games where you, as Master Chief, was in some kind of cinematic that brought you into what was going on? Like, if my memory serves me correctly, there was tons. There was tons of cinematic that brought you into the story. You knew you were playing as Master Chief, and it put you there. There was a movie. It showed you what was going on. There was the dramatic music. It was a movie with you in it because you're Master Chief. How much cinematics are really in Destiny which draws the character that what you're wearing is in it?
Nothing really.
Nothing
Invoking the Hive.
And why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Why wouldn't they put that in the game?
But they don't have any of that. I want to see my Guardian in that ship-to-ship fight that was in Lost Souls video that he had at the beginning of that video. Like, I didn't see my ship in there. If I was to play the game and my ship was flying, did I see myself? No, I'm not in that. Like, it didn't draw me in, Like, it wasn't there. So, yeah, they need to have that connection where they're drawing you in. It's about you. It's about who you are. It's about your individuality. They're totally missing that, which brings me to another point, and we don't have to talk about it if we don't want to, but, and I'm seeing that Stevenson has Halo 4. It's like, either Destiny, Halo 4, Destiny.
If I was on Xbox One, I'd be on Destiny, no question. I want to really quickly say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wish you guys were playing this meta raid with me right now because it is just, in my opinion, one of the best. It would be so much fun. This is crazy.
There was a ton of people who were developers for Bungie that went over to 343 Studio for Microsoft. The group that went to 343, for Microsoft, I'm sorry, man, but I'm always getting the impression that the developers for Bungie that went to 343 are the guys that really made Halo what it was.
Dude, I said that today on the forums, and some dude told me I was smoking crack.
Really?
He smoked.
Yeah, I was like, look, I may not know all the ins and outs, but I'm pretty sure just from going back to the connection thing in the story. I mean, if this is truly the Bungie that they say they are in Destiny, even though it's not in-game footage, let's go back to the Deliver Hope cinematic that I watch almost weekly to remember my friends. Okay, if you know what I'm talking about, where Cat gets wounded, it tells a story about her arm basically, and then the first Noble Six dies, sacrifices himself. Dude, watch it. Listen to Marty's music. Close your freaking eyes, and you will be connected.
Marty O'Donnell is going to be a topic that we will definitely tackle that at some point. But that's a serious discussion.
But what I'm saying is, if they could go back to that, even if you don't have, everybody's different life experiences, you got a heart in your chest, that's not, dead like Soul is. You can grasp that emotion just from that, and then going into the game. I mean, I saw that video after I beat the game. I didn't even know they had all that stuff, and I was like, oh my god. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if I could just say one thing that kind of speaks to the lack of sort of recognition by the developers that we want that emotional connection to the game. Every time you run that particular mission on the moon, and I can't remember which one it is, you run right across that dead Guardian's body.
Yep.
Like there wasn't ever any part of that mission where we actually recovered his body and gave him some sort of burial or memorial or any. We just we keep running across him.
You may have missed it.
Oh, what did I miss?
In one of the TTK missions, they just basically just put a rock over him.
I think I totally missed that. I don't know how I missed that. I must not have been paying very close attention, but.
Speaking of that area of the game,
what's that?
Just kind of a little off topic, but with the cinematics and the immersion and all that, when you do the mission, when Eris and she tells about their team and they went and they holed up in the moon base and yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
Am I the only one that wishes that there was a cinematic of that and they showed
Agreed.
Eris and her team doing that? Every time I hear it, I'm like, I want to see them.
I don't know if it was just a money-saving thing. Because, dude, what was the budget for this? It's
$500 million.
GDP. Yeah, like
the GDP of a small country.
Yeah, but half of that was probably put into advertising. You don't know.
If they put that into advertising that much, man, they need to get smacked.
Well, there's so much speculation with all that. I mean, the 500 million is supposedly the 10-year budget, and that's all on for another day. But
Souls, you're trying to make the point.
I definitely want to. I don't want to hear Eris telling me that. Every time I run that mission, and for some reason, you've got your Halo Reach cinematic that you like watching, and for some reason, whenever that one mission, that one I'm drawn to, and I want to see that story, and I want to see
I
see
wanted to
her
see
team.
it too. I thought there was going to be one.
Go ahead.
I'm just kind of stumped that there wasn't really. Like, anybody else want to add anything more to that? Because damn, that was some deep. Because it's true, man. The individuality, the cinematics, the bringing you into the story. A lot of it was narration, and it's not that anybody here is busting on Bungie, but it was something that, damn, man, who here doesn't wish they had it?
We want that connection.
I would like to say that I think that the fact that the raids don't have like an intro and an outro just blows my mind.
Yeah. I would love to see a 6-man fire team with the in-games theater mode, having everybody just kind of climbing out of the raid pit or walking out with scarred and victorious. Like, they have the in-game engine for that stuff. They're just not utilizing it. All right, so moving on to the last and final part. let's see here. While we may be out of luck hoping to ever ascend year 1 gear, I certainly hope this will, and damn dude, this was a good point by the way. I certainly hope this will not be the model for the remainder of the Destiny franchise. Okay, allow us to perpetually ascend one weapon in each class and one piece of armor in each class. Who wants to start with this, man? Because
This is
Well,
CL.
I-
I think
Again,
CL
I think, for me, this speaks to that connection, that missing connection. It's just, and it also tells me that I have something with me that if I truly fall in love with it, I can take it with me. I can carry that one gun or that helmet with me in perpetuity, for the life of, as long as I play the game or as long as the game exists.
does duct tape count? Because I would love to duct tape just a couple of guns to my Sparrow and just,
Seriously.
have that. No, I hear you. But yeah, you're right. Like, same thing. Individuality and connection. Like, if you develop a connection to one weapon, forget about Thorn. I hate that gun. But yeah, I would love to bring the crash shotgun, dude, in the vault. Okay, beginning game, first week, I got the crash shotgun from FWC. All right, I hate the fact that the FWC logo's on it, but it's a 6-round full auto void shotgun. And it's useless now.
How I feel
But I'm
about the
keeping
found
it.
verdict.
Found verdict? Is that what you said? I couldn't hear you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. By the way, I just found verdict is pretty much that, but it's arc. But anyways.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm talking about just the simple fact it was the first decent. To me, it was the first weapon, and I kept it ever since then, and still have it just because I have that connection to it. It was my first full auto 6-round void shotgun. I developed a connection to it, and it's been sitting in the vault ever since. And I don't use it in the hopes that one day I can ascend it. That I can bring it with. But like Law pointed out, something to bring with, and I don't know. I mean, Law, what would you bring if you could bring 2 things, like one armor, one weapon, and you can only do one? What would it be?
Oh man, I think I would definitely bring my Saturnine Rapier scout rifle and my Helm of Saint 14 exotic helmet. I love playing Defender. I just think it's such a vital role, and I love being able to offer that to the fire team. So yeah, Helm of Saint 14.
I have a problem playing Defender, but I love having them on my team. I'm not gonna lie. Stevenson, what about you? Like the 2, one weapon, one armor.
May I pick 2 weapons?
You can, but you have to create a
If I had
second
to
account
pick
to do
one, if I had to pick one, it would be the found verdict for Off the Glass.
Okay.
If I could pick 2, it would be Fatebringer and Found Verdict, and I really mean that. Armor, the Heart of Praxic Fire was really amazing before they nerfed the cooldown time on it. Helm of Saint 14 for PVE probably, and it looks beautiful.
What about you, Badger? Come on.
Yeah, this sucks, dude.
You had all this time, man.
I know.
Come on, you had all the time.
Vision of Confluence, because it was my very first
Good
raid
choice.
weapon.
Good choice. Good choice.
And this is gonna make everybody that's listening to go, well, I thought this dude was a gamer, he's just a poser. But I've never cared really one thing about any of the perks on any of the armor. I always cared about how they look.
Really?
And the prime example, I mean, you're not in the game right now, but if you were to look at my Hunter, I would much rather wear something that drops me down a light level for the way it looks than the raid boots that I got from the King's Fall raid, because I think they're ugly. They don't fit the way I want my Hunter to look. And so for me, it's just, hey, take all my perks away, just give me all my Warlock armor from the Vogue. That'd be great. I'll just run bland.
Dude, you and I seem to be on the same page pertaining to some of the way that some of the stuff looks. Like some of it, like the biological stuff for me, I can't stand wearing the biological stuff.
Well, I mean,
and the weapons that look like.
I was gonna say, let me ask you guys this. You know, how hard would it be? And I mean, I know the answer to this, but I doubt any of you would disagree. But how hard would it be to implement a feature? You know what? Don't want to make it so simple that you give us etheric light and we can level it that way. Just let us level it, and maybe it takes damage, and we've got to spend things to repair it, keep it in order.
If I got to send something or bring something along where I had to keep an upkeep of it, where I had to keep repairing it just so I'd be able to use it, I would be fine with that. But you know, hey, what can you do? What about you, Souls? You knew the question was coming.
Gear, I'd still be wearing my armamentarium. It's
armamentarium, yeah.
Just completely changed, you know, and that's going to being what we have been able to carry forward. It's just sad that, you know, some people have their gear, some people are starting over. I mean, it's completely learning a different way to play. So, you know, I was all about in the Halo days sticking people in their face from across the map. So those 2 grenades are a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I'd sure like to have them back. As far as a gun, I don't have my Cryptic Dragon anymore. You know, you have yours. That was my first legendary. That would have been something.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry,
that would have been
but
something.
I'm not giving it away, and you can't have it.
But yeah,
trading.
Yeah, probably Cryptic Dragon. If I could go back, and they would not have told us they weren't going forward, and I wouldn't have dismantled it, because again, I mean, it's the rate of fire and the impact scouts that I love, same as the Hung Jury and my 980 Salvation State, except, you know, it had third eye, it had explosive rounds, and I mean, it was just perfect, just absolutely perfect, and the first thing that dropped for me. You know, I'm going to sit here and, you know, here we are year 2, and I'm going and grinding, trying to find that weapon that I found a year ago, you know, which again,
yeah, you know what?
That
brings about another question that maybe we'll have during the next podcast, which is, and I know it would be on speculation, but why is it that they removed so many availabilities of being able to get Tier 1 year-end weapons from Strike playlists that were available? Because it seems like they pulled the availability of getting those things from Holder Strike. Alright, anybody else have anything else to add?
Plenty to add, but I guess for another time.
That's right.
There'll definitely be other times.
Badger right, CCL for the win.
If anybody who happened to watch the podcast wants to add anything to the comments section, please do so. There's going to be other podcasts. And if you have questions for anybody that was in the podcast, please feel free to leave comments. And if you have questions, we will try to address them. My name is War Priest, and thank you very much for stopping by and having to listen to the discussion from everybody here. And in the future, happy gaming.